Okay, so this is the next step after you have made your log of your family's energy over the weekend. So in your log, you already put in the information of, oh, I used electricity to have the lights on for this many hours. I used electricity to charge my phone for this many hours. Then you added that all up in your totals. So you should have numbers in your totals at the bottom under just the category for heat, your total for lights, your total for charging the phone, and so on, all the way through to refrigerator. For instance, refrigerator probably is always on, or else things in the freezer are going to melt. In the refrigerator, they might go bad. So your refrigerator probably is going to have all X's just like heat did. All right, so we're thinking about all these categories and our totals for them. You already should have added those up. Now what you're going to do is you're going to look at these and you're going to look at what type of energy was used for that. So let's check out each one. So we're going to say for heat, I know that my heat comes from natural gas because it heats the water that pumps through the heaters, the baseboard heaters in my house. So for me, it's natural gas. For you, it might not be, and you need to ask your parents. Okay, so for heat, I know that that's natural gas. I'm going to fill that in for each category as looking at what it is. So then, I go up the next category, lights. Well, lights come from electricity, and I know that I get my electricity from our coal plant. Okay, so here I'd put coal in, whereas you might get them from the solar panels on your roof. But if you don't have solar panels and you don't know where it comes from, I would guess it's going to be coal, because that's how we get it in, most people get it in Steamboat. Okay, so then we're looking at, okay, this one's electricity, electricity, so we're going to fill those in with coal and coal. All right, so then we're looking again, what category is this? We're going to go up G, I'm on gas stove. Okay, well, that's one more thing you were going to ask your parents. Do we cook on a stove that is gas or electric? Okay, well mine, I see the flame, I actually see it, so I know it's natural gas that's pumped in here through a pipeline so that we can use the gas as a fuel to burn. All right, I'm going to fill the rest in. Okay, so I've filled in the columns that I used as examples. I have not filled in all of the columns, but you would need to do that. So you would need to fill in the columns for all these because you would have total numbers for all these different actions, like having a refrigerator on, washing dishes, drying clothes, washing clothes, playing video games, watching TV, taking a shower, possibly riding the bus, probably driving in a car. You would need to have all of those done. I didn't for my example. So remember, this is just the example. Okay, so one thing I noticed while I was doing that that's sort of tricky, I'm going all the way down and I don't know what category it is and I'm going back and forth and it's confusing. Well, if I go ahead and click on this total number and I know that I'm now in this row and I want to figure out what type of energy I'm using down here because maybe I haven't filled it in yet and I want to know what I need to put in. Well, look, I've highlighted G. So as I scroll up, as long as I leave that clicked, G is still highlighted. So now I know I'm talking about cooking on a stove. When I go back down, G is still highlighted. Okay, so I'm cooking on a stove is what type. So if you need to be paying attention to that, make sure you click on it so you know, okay, I'm trying to fill out the total for this 1 hour thing. I don't know what it was. Oh, I can scroll back up, see F is still highlighted. It was computer being plugged in. Well, computer being plugged in takes electricity. So I'm going to use this column for electricity. I'm going to say I know that my electricity comes from coal, from our coal plant. Great. So I have now put all those in. So I can go in and I can say, all right, natural gas, I use natural gas, well, for 24 hours. So it might, nope, you're going to have to write that down. So I used it for, I know, I'm going to write it here. I'm going to say 24 plus, okay, then when else did I use natural gas? Oh, I used it here, 3 hours. Okay, when else? Oh, I used it here, 2. So I'm going to say natural gas plus 2. All right, and for my example, I didn't use natural gas again. So I'm going to say 24 plus 3. 24 plus 3 is is 29. So my total amount of hours for natural gas is 29 hours. So I would do that again for solar. Well, I didn't use solar at all, so I'm just going to immediately say 0. All right. Wood, I don't actually have a wood-burning stove, which is a bummer. I wish I did. But I'm going to put 0. Petroleum, here I go. Okay, petroleum, I only, for my example, used it 1, but if in my example I'd also ridden the bus and used that for 3 hours or something, I'd say 1 plus 3, but I don't, so I'm just going to say 1. So I keep doing that for each of. Okay, so I hadn't quite finally put in what coal was. So we had 8 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1, so we have 17 for coal for our total hours. Now the final step in this part of our process is going to be to total these numbers. All right, so we already totaled, we did a lot of totaling. First, we found how many hours we used a certain device for, whether it was the heat or the lights. We totaled how many hours we used heat for, how many hours we used the lights for. Then we looked at it at a different angle. We said, okay, so if we used natural gas to heat our house for this many hours, for 24 hours, and we used natural gas to cook for 2 hours, and we used natural gas for, what did we use it for? Oh, to cook and to bake. All right, so we used it to cook and then to bake for the oven and the stove. How many hours in all did we use just natural gas? So that's what we just did. We said how many hours in all did we use that type of energy? Well, now we want to say, okay, how many hours did we use that, all the types of energy? So all together, how many did we use them for? So we're going to add this up. We're going to say 17 plus 29 plus 1. You can easily do that. So we have 9 and 7 and 1. So it's 16, 17. We put our 7 down. We carry the 1. We have 2 plus 1 plus our carried 1 makes 3, 4. So 47. So we say that the total number of hours of energy being used throughout my theoretical Saturday was 47. Yours should be bigger. In fact, a lot bigger, because remember, I didn't even plug in all these other categories, and I didn't plug in Sunday. So if your number is much bigger, that should make sense. Okay, that's going to be the end of this video. Then how you're going to solve the rest of this part to get our percent is in the next video.